Alright, today we are going to start a new section to my YouTube channel. It's going to be tips and tricks. Each week I'm going to try to give you a new tip or idea that I use on my models for maintenance or building or what have you. So today's tip is going to be dusting and cleaning your models. Dust seems to be accumulating everywhere, and since I do have an open style display case, as you can see here. Some people do have glass display cases, but even with a glass display case, dust can still sometimes find its way into your model cabinet. So the way I clean my models is a very basic way. Some people have some more elaborate ways, but this is the cheapest way I've found, and I've done it for years and have yet to have a side effect report. What you need is a little bit of water. I prefer to use distilled water, as it won't leave any water spots. You'll need a small plastic brushed paintbrush, preferably one you've never used with paint. This one has been used with paint, but it's been cleaned thoroughly. You will need some cotton Q-tips and just a piece of paper towel. First thing I like to do is just blow some of the dust off the model. This is only minorly effective, as most of the dust tends to cling to the paint surfaces. The next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to take your paintbrush and dust off any excess dust. This will get the majority of the dust from a lot of the large areas off of the model, like up above the engine compartment, on top of the cab. And you can dust some of any cobwebs that might have formed. Hopefully you don't have any cobwebs, but that's not out of the realm of possibility. So once you've gotten most of the dust off, make sure that you don't miss any spots. You can use this also to get off any diorama dirt. This is a good way to do it. If you want to clean off your brush, just give a little bit of a tap there. Make sure you don't do it over the top of the model, otherwise you'll be dusting all over again. This works pretty well. Make sure you just do it nice and gently. No forcefulness when you do this, otherwise you'll risk scratching the paint. It works fine around windows and door sills and tire wheel wells, pivot points, and even inside these rear engine compartments here. These can get a little tricky, but this works just fine for getting the dust out of. Inside in between here, whatnot. Anyway, once you get the majority of the dust off from these larger areas, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and wet a Q-tip. Let's finish up this little spot. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is wet a Q-tip in your distilled water. You can use regular water, but it will leave water spots, so I recommend using distilled. Just lightly get your Q-tip wet, and once the head of it's wet, make sure you dab it on your paper towel. Just keep your paper towel somewhat handy back here. Make sure, because you don't want any excess water on your model. And then just wipe around all the areas that the brush didn't get to. Cleaning around all the little parts. This will pick up any dust that the brush couldn't get to. This will also pick up some of the heavier dirt dust and pollen and things that will stick to your model over time. And as you can see, I've picked up a fair amount of dirt on the end of this Q-tip. So when it gets dirty, flip ends, and repeat the process. And some things you want to be careful of when you're doing these. Depends on the model. Most Norscot, Ertl, and first gear models, this is a very safe practice to use on. Their paint's fairly durable. Some older models you might want to be careful, as paint can easily chip, especially older NZG and Conrad models. You want to be careful of that. And also just be careful of any loose parts, of course, all the time with your models. As with many older models, they might have decals. This model has, of course, painted emblems on here, but if you have adhesive decals like on custom models, for example, this 321 here has adhesive water slide decals. You want to take care that you don't get those wet, as they might cause them to peel. Anyway, once you get all the surfaces nice and done up, then if you want, you can go ahead and take a dry Q-tip and touch up any wet spots that you might have left behind. And then that will leave a nice surface. As you can see here, you can see the differences. I don't know if you can see the differences or not, but this is the clean side and this is still a dirty side, and it makes the model look a lot better when you're done. Anyway, that's this week's tip or trick. Next week's is going to be how to make lift hooks for models, such as on my 330. Like so. So stay tuned and I will show you how to make lift hooks for your models. Anyway, that's all for this week's edition. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks.